So I want to talk a little bit about what I've been seeing going on with the show over the past 4 days, and I've heard everybody talk about their great hypervisor technology, or their great storage systems, or OpenStack, which we all love. And everybody's working on all this cloud stuff, and the cloud is so great, and you got to use the cloud here, and you got to build your cloud and make this work with that cloud, and I want to talk a little bit about why we're doing that. Why are we so obsessed with the cloud? And in order to do that, I want to talk a little bit about how this happened to me, how I got into the cloud, and hopefully this will ring some bells with some of you guys out there too. You know what I'm talking about. So I love gadgets. I love them a lot. Laptops, tablets, phones. I even love MP3 players and Wi-Fi's. And I carry these things with me everywhere. And it's a little ridiculous. And to show you just how ridiculous I am with these things, I want to show you a picture of what I carry with me in my bag when I go to the office or I go on business trips. So this is a picture of everything that I take with me at any given time. And just to go through it real quickly, I carry a MacBook Air. I love Macs, and I do pretty much everything on this little computer. And I also carry a Surface because I love to run both Mac and Windows. And I have 3 cell phones that I carry, and I switch back and forth with all the time because they all serve a different purpose for me, and they all they're just fun. They all have a different experience. I also carry 3 tablets. I only use 2 of them because I keep one of those iPads there you'll see for my kids. Because anytime I take that iPad out of my bag, somehow my 2-year-old daughter has it in her hands 30 seconds later. So I have to carry that extra one just for her. And last but not least, I do actually have a BlackBerry. Sometimes I don't like to admit that. But as you can see, it's turned off because I don't actually use it very often. So how did this happen to me? How did I get addicted to all of these gadgets? How did I become so crazy? Well, it actually happened I think it was about 12 years ago. I was living a block away from the World Trade Center just before September 11th. And after it happened, I got displaced. And I had to go live with my soon-to-be mother-in-law and sleep on her floor for 3 weeks. And I remember feeling really disconnected. I just wasn't able to communicate, and I couldn't go into the office a few times, and I couldn't get my work done, and I decided, you know what, it's time I buy a laptop. I gotta have a laptop, because I gotta be able to work no matter where I am. So I placed an order for this ThinkPad here, and it arrived about a week later, and I'd gotten back into my apartment at the time. And I decided, now that I've got this laptop, I'm gonna try working from home. And I had done work from home before, but I'd never actually taken a day and just worked from home instead of going to the office. So I called up the office and I said, listen guys, I'm not coming in. I got a big project due tomorrow. I'm just gonna work from home all day. So I started off the day early, about 7 a.m., had some coffee, didn't take a shower, didn't brush my teeth, and I just started cranking away at my laptop. About 1 o'clock, I took a nap for an hour, and that was really nice, felt really refreshed. And then I kept working until about 7 o'clock that night. So I got my project done, and it was a hit. It went over really well with my client the next day. And I remember feeling so sort of just energized and rejuvenated because I was able to get this work done from my home, from my laptop. And it felt wonderful to me to be able to do that. So my laptop was really this ability to start to break out of the conventional mold that I was in, and I was able to actually get my work done at home, which I really loved. Then came, of course, my chat, and I had to have chat to stay in constant communication with everybody I was working with. So I used chat that day, and I would send people that I was working with at the office URLs of my presentation, say, hey, what do you think? Can you give me some feedback? So I was able to stay in communication. I think my mother messaged me that day as well. So I was constantly communicating with these people that were important to me in my life or that I needed in order to get my work done. So chat really allowed me to stay in constant contact with everybody that I was working with and everybody that I cared about, and it really helped me get my project done because it would have been harder had I had to call somebody on the phone and say, let me describe to you what my project looks like, or let me read this URL to you, and you try to punch it into your URL bar on your browser. So chat really helped me there. Then in 2005, I decided it was time to get rid of my old feature phone and buy a smartphone. So I waited for 2 hours in line at the Verizon store, and I paid $500 to buy that thing you see right there. which is the Verizon BlackBerry 7250. And I'm proud to say I still have that phone, and I will keep it forever because it's a token of my past. But I love this thing because it gave me the ability to now start to do the things that I was doing on my laptop. I was communicating with people while I was out at restaurants, while I was hanging out with family or friends, and if somebody needed to get a hold of me and I needed to check a calendar appointment or send an email, I had the capability to do that now right from my phone, and I didn't even need to open my laptop, which was awesome. So it really gave me the ability to stay productive on the go, and I like to think that it started to blur these lines that exist between our work life and our personal life, and it really started to do that. Then came my tablet, and I also waited in line for this. I got up at about 6 o'clock in the morning, I think it was, in March of 2010, told my wife I had this really important thing I had to do, and I went and waited in line for the original iPad. And got it, and it was amazing, and I sold it on eBay 3 weeks later just so I could get the 3G version. And that was amazing too, because it gave me the ability to start to leave my laptop at home. And I had my chat, I had my files, I had my email, I had my calendar, I had everything that I was doing in this nice compact little device that kept me connected. I could really do all of these things from this one piece of equipment. And it really started to unify my productivity on the go. I like to think of it as it was my productivity sidekick. So a short time thereafter, I discovered this tool called Dropbox, which I'm sure you all know, is this great file syncing tool, and I started keeping all of my files in sync. I got rid of all my files in the office, and I said, I'm going to put them in the cloud, and I'm going to start working with them on my phone, on my tablet, on my laptop, and everything stayed in sync, and I absolutely loved it. It was literally like the unifier for all of these devices, because I needed to access my documents all the time, and I needed to be able to share them and send them and work on them, and it really allowed me to do that. You know, it was like my office file server, which was available anywhere, and it always felt safe and secure to me. I had my files encrypted, and it was really easy to work with. So what I hadn't realized all this time through this story was that I was actually in the cloud. I had been using cloud all this time and just really didn't know it. So that brings me to what I want to talk about, which is the cloud under your nose. I am Brouse. I'm the president and COO of Solar VPS. So how does this happen to us? How did we become obsessed with all of these things, and how did we start to become so ingrained in the cloud? And I think it happened to probably pretty much everybody. You see some apps up here. These are applications that probably a lot of you use, most of you use: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Skype, Dropbox, iCloud. These are all apps that are part of our lives today, and they help us really begin to communicate and collaborate with one another. And they really become sort of an add-on to the experience of both our work lives and our personal lives. So we all started using these things because they provided us something. And generally it was the ability to communicate and collaborate with one another. And it was easy because as consumers, we only have to please ourselves. We don't have a group of 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 employees that we have to say, hey, is this going to work for everybody? Is this going to work for my sales department, my technical engineering department, my financial department? We only have to please ourselves. So it's easy, and we download them to our phones, we install them on our laptops, we use them over the web, and we become addicted to these things. And then we start to take that and move those into our businesses. And before I talk about that, I want to bring up a really interesting fact here that I found about Netflix. And that is that Netflix accounts for 1/3 of all nightly home internet traffic, which I found to be really, really fascinating. And Netflix is a big part of my life, and I'm able to use it on my tablet and on my laptop, and I put it up on my TV at home. And it really helps me to, kind of unwind when I'm traveling in my hotel room. And it's installed on all my devices. And clearly from this fact, we can see that a lot of people are doing this. And it's really, a cloud-based way that we can entertain ourselves. We don't have to pop in a DVD or a VHS or worry about bringing our libraries. We have this ability to entertain ourselves on the go. So, we become invested in all of these apps, and I think we start to bring them into our businesses. You'll see I threw some more icons up here, and some of them are apps that we use both for home and for work. For example, Google Docs, Skype, Dropbox, Facebook, and Twitter. So as we become invested in these personal applications, we begin to start to use them in our businesses as well. And they start to enhance our lives at the workplace too, because they make everything a little bit easier. having your office files in sync, having the ability to collaborate with somebody on a Word document or a spreadsheet right over the cloud, having the ability to stay in communication with one another through a chat application. And in our businesses, whether we own the company or whether we work for the company, we begin to start to bring these applications to work, and our companies adopt them and they begin to use them. An example is Facebook, and Facebook really started off as this personal tool for college students, and now it's become this huge brand awareness portal that is used by companies all over the world. And I want to share a little fact about Facebook, and that was as of 2012 in quarter 4, there are more than 1 billion active Facebook accounts. Now, we all know that there's probably about 8% of those are actually not real or fake. But still, it's fascinating to see how much we've adopted this tool for both work and for business, because it allows us to communicate, to connect with our family members, our friends, our clients, our vendors. Funny story for me, and I use this too, is that I was on Facebook the other night, and my wife, I like to think of her, I have this name for her, I call her a mamarazzi. I don't know if you've ever heard this term before, but basically it's somebody who takes thousands of pictures of their kids and posts thousands of pictures every single day on Facebook of everything that their kids do. And my wife does this. And she gets upset at me if I don't go and press the little like button next to at least 80% of those pictures on Facebook. And I hear about it every day when I come home. Did you see what I posted on Facebook? Did you see what your daughter did today? And so it was really funny. I was doing this the other night, and I was catching up on my like quota of those pictures, and my company had posted something as well from our social media expert, and I chimed in and I made a comment on that. And I realized that what that allowed me to do was both participate in a personal interaction as well as a business interaction, using the same website, the same tool on the same device, all at the same time. I was actually working and playing together. And I thought to myself, this is really cool, and Facebook is allowing us to start to do this today. Another one is Google Docs, and I wanted to share this fact. There are more than 425 million Google Doc accounts out there today. And to give you kind of an idea of just how big that is, how many that is, that's almost 110 million more Google Doc accounts in production today than there are people living in this country, which really blew my mind. So clearly we like that application and use it everywhere. So what fuels our adoption? Why do we do this? Well, why are we using the cloud? Why are we using all these applications? And I think it's purely based on the fact that we're social. We want to communicate. We want to collaborate with each other. We want to work together. It's in our nature to do this as human beings. So I think the real interesting thing about this is that, as we use these applications in both our work lives and our personal lives, we begin to bridge this gap that exists between the two. Conventionally speaking, you go to work, you show up at 9, you leave at 5, and when you were at work, you did work. And when you come home, you be with your family, you be with your friends. And you try not to let the two lives intermingle with one another. You feel guilty at work. I don't want to take a personal phone call, or my boss doesn't want me to take a personal phone call. You feel guilty about it, or maybe you get reprimanded for it. At home, you hear it from your wife or your husband. Why are you doing work? You're supposed to leave work at the office and come home and be with your family. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I like to feel like I can be productive in any area of my life at any time. This is something that we promote in our company. If you are at work and something personal comes up and you want to participate in that, that's something you can do today with the cloud. If you're at home and you need to take a business call, that's something you can do as well. So a little something that I wrote, the cloud is the catalyst for better, more fluid, and more productive communication and collaboration. And I really feel that way because I feel like the cloud is helping us create a better balance between our work lives and our home lives, and I feel like it's allowing us to be more available for both areas of our lives, not just for work. And I think it's helping us be happier both at home and at work, and it's helping us to care for our customers more, which is incredibly important. The other night I was on Spotify, and a gentleman I work with, he and I like to share a Spotify playlist. And I was yelling at him and saying, listen, you gotta put some more tracks up here. I want to see some new tracks. And I said, get them up there. I've been putting all the tracks in lately. So he did that, and then he messaged me and said, hey, I put these new tracks up. Check them out. Tell me what you think. And as we were talking about the music, we began talking about the social media plan for the company and what we were working on. We were even talking about the show and the marketing. And I realized this is great because this is another instance where I'm doing something personal, but I'm also working at the same time using the same tool and the same service. And I was able to intermingle these two areas of my life, and I felt really productive. So just a little fact that I want to share with you. The average mobile worker works 240 hours per year longer than the workforce in general, which is from my past. And I thought that was really cool because I'm one of these people and I do work a lot, but I think the only reason I'm able to do that is because I can work from anywhere, because I can work on these devices that are so convenient, because I have these great cloud applications that allow me to remain productive. So something I want to talk about, BYOD, which is bring your own device. And this is kind of a controversial topic today. You might have heard, might have read online blogs, heard people talking about it. And really, I think that most of the controversy around this specific topic comes down to the concept of ownership. And a lot of businesses are very concerned because they're worried what happens when their data gets put on an employee's phone that the employee owns. And does that mean that the employee then owns the data? And what can they do with the data? Where are they taking it? What are they doing with it? But I think it's kind of an unfounded concern because the whole idea behind cloud and having your data in the cloud is that it gives you better control. But before I talk about that, I want to go over some of the benefits that I think exist for BYOD because I think it's a really important topic to talk about. And there are benefits both for the end user and for the corporation. For the end user, again, I think it supplies a better work-life balance. It allows them to intermingle these two areas of their lives a little bit better. They have a better experience because they're using something that they know, something that they're accustomed to. I can't tell you how many times I've been out to dinner on a business dinner with somebody and they put a BlackBerry down on the table that's 4 years old, and I look at them and I say, "What are you doing? Why are you still using that?" And they look at me and they say, "It's a company device. That's what my company wants me to use." But they don't want to use it. They want to use their iPhone because that's what they know and that's what they love. So, they want to do this because they understand it better. They can change it when they want to change it, and they feel like they can keep up with the times. Like they're able to continue to get the latest and the greatest. And they have an investment in the ecosystem. They're able to use the apps that they already have paid for, the apps that they purchased, that they know and that they love, and that are helping them do the things that they want to do. And I like to think they smile a little more often. When you use what you love, when you use what you know, it just makes you happier. On the other side, believe it or not, there are benefits for the corporation as well. That work-life balance that is fostered by this is also positive for the corporation. Happier employees are more productive employees. There's a CapEx reduction. When you don't have to invest in all of this equipment that you have to issue to your employees, it lowers your costs. Supplier flexibility. You don't have to be locked into long-term contracts with wireless carriers or other vendors because you're allowing your employees to do what they want to do with the devices they have. Reduce IT support. You have to staff all these people to help your internal employees be effective, be productive. Technology breaks. And when they are used to using something that they know, you don't have to invest time and money into paying people to constantly make sure that they're trained and that they have support on all of these things that they're not familiar with. So it makes them happier. It makes them more productive. A little cloud fact that goes along with that. By 2014, 90% of organizations will support corporate applications on devices owned by workers, which is from Gartner. And I love that because it's something that we're doing, and I've heard a lot of other companies are beginning to do today as well. And they're starting to get over some of these concerns and allow this to take place in their companies, which I think is great. But of course, when you do this, it doesn't matter if it's the employee's device or it's your device, there's going to be security challenges. There's going to be things that you're going to be worried about with respect to your data. Where is it going? What is it doing? Who's touching it? So there's access control that you need to put in place. Conventionally speaking, that's really hard to do. But with the cloud, with all of these great services that we have access to, that's sort of been thought out, and it's continuing to improve every day. We have the ability to control who has access to what, to permission everything out, and to know what's going on with our data and who has access to what. We also have the ability to encrypt. There are great services that allow us to encrypt our data and keep it secure, and know that if somebody ever was able to get to it, unless they had that information, they'd never be able to read it. We're increasing our accessibility to this data. If I have all my data in the cloud and my team is able to get access to that, if I have a sales team and they're going out on sales meetings and they've got an iPad and it's right there in Dropbox or Box, one of these other great services, I'm reducing my local data. I'm not as worried about them going on into the office and downloading files from the file server and taking it somewhere, and I have no idea what's going on with it, because it's right there. It's available to them anywhere they are. They can download it, they can work with it. I've seen what they've been able to do with it, and I know that the chances of them having to take that data and move it someplace outside of my environment is reduced. I'm maintaining high availability, so I have the comfort of knowing that it's always going to be there, that I don't have to worry about somebody saying, I can't get access to this, or where is it, or I lost that file. It's always there and it's always available. And I have a better capability to deal with employee departures. How do I make sure that the data they have access to is cut off when they leave? So I really believe that cloud enhances data security. And a little fact that goes along with that that helps prove my point. 45% of IT pros worldwide are more concerned about the threat of internal data leaks than external data hacking, which is from Cisco. And I thought that was interesting because everyone's worried about their data in the cloud and who's going to hack it or get into it. The fact of the matter is most of these breaches, most of these security things happen from people that are already inside our companies. And the cloud isn't introducing anything new there. If we have our data in our four walls in our little locked box and those employees have access to it in our offices, they can still breach that security. They can still take that and do whatever they want with it. So I really believe that cloud is enabling control over our data. We've got better control over our security. We're reducing that local data I mentioned before. We don't have to worry so much about people taking that data and taking it someplace and doing something with it that we're not aware of. It's always accessible. It's always there for us. We can always access it. It's enhancing our social integration. If I need to share a file, if I need to collaborate, if I'm promoting my company in the marketing department, I have the ability to do that very, very easily. And when somebody does leave me, when somebody shouldn't have access to that data anymore, I have the ability to cut off their access and wipe that data very, very easily. So if you want to have access to your data everywhere, it's got to be in the cloud. You've all heard of Superstorm Sandy. If you live here in New York and you were here last October, you went through this and it wasn't fun. There was a lot of bad things that happened. Luckily, we were online, but I think that came from the fact that we are in the cloud and we made sure that we always had access to our data and that our customers remained online because we were aware of these types of things and we fully embraced the cloud. This distribution of data that takes place once you start to put your data in the cloud is wonderful because it's not sitting on a single file server somewhere so that when something happens, like the power goes out or there's a fire or some other sort of disaster, we lose access to it. So this distribution of data allows us to know that we can get access to that data anywhere we are as long as we have an internet connection. Again, this lack of local data. If we don't have the local data, we have security because we know that we're always going to have access to it. It's going to be accessible to us no matter where we are. So work can still be accomplished. We can still get done what we need to get done because our employees are still able to connect to the internet from somewhere, whether it be from their home, whether it be on a wireless connection somewhere. They're still able to get their phone calls because those fail over to their cell phones. They're still able to access files because those files are in the cloud. They're still able to access their email. Emails don't bounce because they're in the cloud. So we start to handle this whole process of disaster recovery by using these cloud solutions. I like to think about, the central office was always critical for the operations of a business. But today, with all of these great cloud technologies that we have, it's no longer required. It's a place of community. It's a place of collaboration. It's a place for us to get together and talk and work and create friendships, be social and be more productive. But if we don't have the ability to get there, if there is some sort of disaster that's going on, it's not critical for the operations of our business. We can continue to get work done. And a little fact that I wanted to share, Hurricane Sandy caused 8.1 million homes and businesses to lose power for an average time span of 11 days, which is from Time Magazine, which is just crazy. I mean, imagine being without the ability to communicate with your clients and vendors for 11 days. Imagine your mail bouncing when people try to email you for 11 days. Imagine not being able to make or receive phone calls for your business for 11 days. For many businesses today, especially small businesses, that's the end. That's it. You're no longer in business. You're filing bankruptcy because you've lost so much money from a disaster like this. So the cloud really helps us to solve these sorts of problems. So I like to think of the cloud as a silver lining. It's helping us be more productive. We're able to work anytime, anywhere, any place. We're able to connect. We're able to communicate, collaborate, get our work done. It's creating a better work-life balance. We have the ability to work when we're at home, play when we're at work. We have the ability to intermingle these areas of our lives and really, I think, be happier all around. Using our own devices, being more social, being able to use things that we love and that we know. We all want to do these things, and the cloud's helping us do it. We enhance our security. We don't have to worry so much about what's going on because we have the tools to tell us where our data is, what it's doing, who's accessing it, and we have the ability to shut off access to that data anytime we want. So the cloud really enables us to keep that control. And disaster recovery, that central office that we relied on for so long, that housed all of our data, that housed all of our PCs, our phones, our ability to get our business done is no longer critical to the operations of our company. It's now a place of community, a place of collaboration. So I like to think that cloud is actually driving community, and it's this happiness that's being created for us. So just a little bit about who we are and what we do. Solar VPS is a cloud provider. We provide Windows and Linux cloud servers. We also provide what we call our Cloud Apps on Demand, which is a one-click install platform that deploys over 250 open source cloud applications, and we're heavily invested in open source technologies. And we've built something called the Solar System, which is this one pane of glass that allows our clients who aren't really familiar with cloud or confused by cloud or not sure how to deploy their applications or handle their communications. It allows them to efficiently get these things done, to deploy a WordPress blog, to set up their email, to be able to have their hosted presence working properly. And we have all of our support integrated into that same portal. We make it very, very easy and provide all sorts of additional tools to allow them to be productive and have an experience that is about getting their own work done and not focusing on their IT. We also, another wing of our business is called Fortress ITX, which is what we call our cloud integration. So we're working with a lot of companies here in the New York area who need to be able to, who are unfamiliar how to get these cloud problems solved. They're concerned about disaster recovery. They've got a lot of stuff in their offices, and they want to move that out and become more integrated in the cloud. So we're working with them and providing them with a lot of services that help them do that. So thank you very much, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take those.
Thank you, Ross. A little known fact, even to Ross, is that the last speaker at each Cloud Expo also becomes one of the very first speakers at the next one, particularly if it's a presentation as good as that. Let's give him a round of applause and then ask him something. Because he really sort of just covered everything, so it's difficult to ask you anything. It was absolutely lovely. Anything at all to say? Just tell him something nice about his presentation. How about that? Who would like to compliment him on his presentation? Just the way I've done, but even better.
I agree. Have one over here.
Oh, wait. I can't see. There you are. Here I come.
Hi, my name is Yogesh Pandit. I represent Steve Cloud. The question that I have for you is typically when it comes to your client base, what are the roadblocks, like especially like when I was with a large retail bank, the main roadblock was what is cloud, then the policy and the governance and all these legal and other barriers about it. What are the typical roadblocks that you face with your large clients, and how do you resolve those concerns or issues that you have? I know you mentioned that cloud is more secure, but how do you communicate and how do you make your clients comfortable with all those issues that surround around cloud?
Well, I think there's kind of a few catalysts that allow them to get interested in it or that cause them to come to us and ask those sorts of questions. It could be something like Superstorm Sandy, and generally they're very singularly focused. When that sort of thing happens, I couldn't get my email. I have that problem and I need to solve it. How do I solve that one specific problem? And in that sort of instance, we focus on that problem and that problem only. We don't get into everything else that the cloud is able to do, because we know that's something that's going to come later. So we say, listen, you've got an email problem, let's solve that problem for you, and make that experience a good one so that you don't have to worry about this any longer. And then we know we'll continue that dialogue over time. There are other people who don't necessarily have a security concern. They just don't know. They've heard of it, they've heard these buzzwords, and they have questions about how they're supposed to do this, because to them it's something that people are talking about. They're out to dinner, they're having drinks, they're talking with their clients, their vendors. What are you guys doing? What's your cloud plan? What are your plans? And they'll come to us and say, I know I need to do this. How do I do it? And so that's one of the reasons we developed our solar system platform, was to make it really easy for people who didn't necessarily have a lot of information, who weren't technically inclined, to be able to deploy these sorts of things. So we have account managers, salespeople that work with them, ask them the questions that need to be asked to figure out what it is they're specifically looking to do. If it's something like data security or whatnot, it really all depends on the vertical. It depends on the client. Are they a healthcare client? Are they a financial client? Do they have specific data center compliance certification requirements? So we'll solve those on a case-by-case basis. But it really comes from a lot of hand-holding, a lot of questions and a lot of answers, and a lot of time that it takes to just get them comfortable with what it is they want to do.
Sure. Thank you.
Just gave you the secret sauce. Gave it away. Any more? Well, if not, then let's say thank you again to Ross Brouse, and hereby I declare that 12th Cloud Expo is over. Thank you for your attention.